Okay guys, now we're into the performance test or performance assignment portion of the module. So your project will be this folder here, which you'll find a link for in Canvas. And you're going to recreate these three clocks. So I'm going to do a quick demo for you. I probably won't finish the whole clock, but I'll just kind of give you a preview. So what you want to do is you can actually just drag and drop your image into Illustrator, and it should open a file. So you can see that we have a clock here, and again, this is a a raster file, like a quote-unquote Photoshop based file, and it's a very low resolution. So you can see the image is really poor, and let's just recreate this in vector, and then that way you guys, one can use it for really anything. So we have this image, so I think what I want to do is first lock that image so that I don't select it or do anything crazy to it. I'm going to create a new layer, and this is where I'm going to draw on it. I think the first thing I will do is probably kind of start the hands, but I'll probably just look at the image and kind of do it from scratch. So I'll take the polygon tool and then reduce it to, what is that? I'm going to go, well, actually, you know what? Take it back. I'm just going to take a rectangle tool. It's four-sided. So I might do something like that. So again, I am going to take that. Right now there's no outline, so I can't see it, so I'm going to make it a default outline. Deselect, take one of my points here and kind of pull it up. I'm basically making a half of this, right? And I can scale it any way I want, but so anyway, I might do something like that. Go to transform, reflect, make a copy. Oops, what happened there? I think it reflected just that one segment. Something like that. Select both of those. So now I have this shape, right? And then of course I can reduce it to whatever size I need it to be. And again, if it's not a perfect, copy of it, I am not going to worry, guys. I'm just wanting you guys to learn how to draw, and you'll get perfect later. This one will be a triangle. Actually, there are a couple of things that I didn't share with you guys quite yet. So make that and then click OK. But you can see here, this has a slight radius. So what we want to do is we want to, make this thing a little arc. And this is where we want to get into the pen tool. Actually, let's just talk about the pen tool a little bit. The pen tool, you just click, and that draws straight lines. But if I click and drag, it creates what we call a Bezier curve, and these things are called handles. So I can click and drag, and then right now it's in kind of this Bezier mode. If I want to reset it to like a straight line, I simply click this anchor point again. It gets rid of that handle, and then it goes back to a straight line. So please try to do this again and again and again. Just believe me when I say that. So having said that, you could also, there's other tools like, I'm going to call this gender changer for lack of a better word, and then you can add or delete anchor points. So again, I can go to a default pen which draws straight lines, and then I'm going to change this into a Bezier curve. So in order to do that, you want to come in here and go to the anchor point tool, and then click the anchor and then drag out new handles. You see how that works? And then you want to go back to the direct selection tool. You don't want to be here, because whatever you click, you're going to start changing stuff. So you come back in here, and that's when you can start to really change the shape of that line, right? Now, if I change this into a straight point instead of a Bezier point, by click on this, it's going to give me a straight line from here to here and here to here. Alright, so hopefully that makes sense. And so in this case here, I want to have a little curve. So what I want to do first of all is I want to add an anchor point somewhere in the center here. So now I have an anchor point, so which means that I can move this anchor point whichever I want. Now you have a Star Trek looking thing here. But what I want to do is I want that anchor point to be a Bezier or a curved point. So again, I'm going to come back here to the anchor point tool, click and drag out my thing, and I'll make it flat by holding shift. But now if I move my handle, you can see I get a curve, right? Because this thing, the flat just controls this kind of uniform curve. Obviously I can kind of do that. So that will allow, and then if I expand that, it'll make that curve a little wider. Alright, so anyhow, let me get rid of this. So now you have a Nelson clock hour hand, and let's rotate this. Kind of add a scale here, so I'm gonna make it about yay big. Select both of these, center them, and in this case I am not going to combine them because this the arrow is going to be a different color than the body. So the body, I'm going to make it black, and then of course this is on top, right? And that arrowhead, I'm going to make it, I guess, orange. And I'm going to turn off the outline. Alright, and then this one, I'll turn off the outline too. So then I can now group this. I'm right clicking, group. Now I have an arrowhead, that I could rescale to. So I'm going to leave this off to the side. And hopefully you guys can make the minute hand. It's just a long rectangular bar with this oval, so I shouldn't have to show you that. So now let's get to the clock body and all that other good stuff. Come here, I'm going to come somewhere in the center. And as I grow, if I hold down Alt, it grows from the center. If I hold down Alt and Shift, it gives me a perfect circle. I'll do that. Let me just go black outline with no color so I can see inside. These are just rectangular shapes. So I'm just going to make a thin rectangular shape. And they're not aligned yet, so I'm going to select both and align them. But at this point I might as well show you something else also. Let's say you drew the shape somewhere out here and then you push align. You'll notice that this circle is going to move a little bit to your left, and that's going to move a little bit to the right. And it kind of comes to a middle point, right? But let's say you want to keep this circle here. All you do is you select it again. Here, hold on, let me go from scratch. Let's say you want this guy to come to the center of this circle. So you select both of these guys, and then you click this guy again, and you see how it gets kind of bolder? And that means that's going to stay where it is. And then you click that, and that guy comes to the center of this circle. So that's a really handy dandy trick. And at this point, I think I'm going to also do my little lollipop looking thing. I'll just do it here so I can show you that example one more time. Something like that. And I can select these guys, but select this to lock that in, bring that up. And then now I can take this guy and move it up. And I'm going to group it. So now they're going to move together. So when I rotate this thing, yeah, I'm going to go old school. I'm just going to go to the rotate tool here. And you see how the center is here? So it's going to rotate along that. It's really the center of these two objects together. So, and then you notice my cursor now is no longer an arrowhead. So then that establishes a new center. If I click again, it turns into an arrowhead. So before I come to the center here, I'm going to hold down my Alt button and then click center. what that does is that it gives me this dialog box, which allows me to control it. So I believe, what is this, 90, so 30, 60, 90, right? So you want 30 degrees, and you want to copy. And then Control D, which repeats. Now, of course, you could have used the new Illustrator tool, Object, Repeat, pattern, repeat radio. So go ahead and try that too. I just wanted to show you guys different techniques. And then let me turn this off. So now you have kind of all of our lollipop things. And at this point, you want to come back in here now. Let's see. So they're selecting together, obviously, because they're a group. But maybe I can select individual. There you go. And then I can change to whatever color I want. Right? So you're going to come here and get the direct selection tool and just select a circle. Now I needed the direct selection tool, or the white arrow is what I sometimes refer to it as, because these two are combined as a group. So I just wanted to select that individually. And then you can come back in here. Let's go to the Properties tab, which will be a slightly different way of changing colors. So here's the Properties tab. The fill is nothing. And I can select, oops. Oh, it's not letting me do that yet. I'll show you guys how to bring custom color swatches later. Anyway, so you guys can go about changing all the colors for the little, the little hour hands. Let's change this to a black and white, and then with no borders. But you can see that this white is underneath all my rectangle sticks, because I made the rectangle sticks after I made this body. So you simply right click and arrange and bring to front, and then that covers all the other stuff. Actually, I should have the outline in there. So there's your Nelson clock, and then now you can place this anywhere you wish. Oop. Alright, so the 12 o'clock, or you can rotate it. Again, I'm going to choose the rotation to be the center of, it won't let me do it, somewhere here. Alright, so, and then of course now it's vectorized. You could make it as large as you need, and all that other good stuff. A little bit of extra here, now that I'm about 13 minutes into it. Please be a little bit more patient. You could actually make this thing look kind of quote-unquote 3D by giving it a gradient. Actually, you know what? Let me ungroup that. So now I can just deal with this guy independently. So if I do a gradient, I can do a linear gradient, which is kind of going left to right or top bottom. I could also do a radial gradient. And if I come here, sorry, you didn't see anything because I have my stroke. So I was doing gradient on my stroke, which is like the little black strip right there. So I don't want that. I'm going to take it back to a black and white. Take the foreground and then do a gradient on that, right? So I can do so this will do a black and white gradient for now. I'll change the color later. So it's going to go from white to black, because that's what I have my color set at right now. And if the light is coming from the upper right hand corner, and this is a sphere, you're going to get really a hot spot there, you can see. And it's going to go to, like a slight, something like that. Oop, that's my dog in the background. All right, I had to put my dog away. But anyhow, you guys can actually, you'll learn a lot more. I mean, go ahead and, YouTube, gradient, and Illustrator. There's gobs of different tricks and stuff like that. You can go into edit gradient here. Let me see. We want it to be blue, so you can click this, and then you can change the color. Oh man, I better just bring a palette in here. Give me a sec. Alright, so to change the color of the gradient, you want to come here to the gradient under the Properties tab, and then you want to go to these three little tabs that allows you to edit your gradient. All right, so if you double click on this, because it's going from white to black, and then you could come here and change that to a different color and then go white to blue or white to red or whatever you guys want to do. And if you click on this tab here, right now it's going grayscale, so it's only going to let you go from white to gray to black, right? So you can go RGB, which then allows you to pick any color you wish. You could also click on this eyedropper and pick, you know, a different color, you know, somewhere on the screen or some, you know, things like that. All right, so check that out, and you know, you're able to change it to whatever color. And then of course now you're going to come back in here and change the location of where that white, you know, the hot spot is. Change the location of where the gradient actually stops. Oops, actually, you know what, I think I want to do that. So I think that's okay. Come back in here. I don't want the outline because I just want the, so there you go. So it's a little round dot. Now if you don't want to have to redo that all over again, you might want to just take this and copy it. You know what, let's do, I'm going to have to undo that. Ungroup. You might want to delete all the circles again, or if you don't want to ungroup, just select the direct selection tool. And then here, we'll come here, and then we're going to go ahead and make a copy of this. So again, go to the rotate, get the, this thing is in the way, it won't let me pick my center. Rotate, come to the center, hold down Alt before I click, and then 30 degrees, copy, so there you go, Control D, and then after this you can come back in here. On that particular gradient you could change the color, oops, come on. You know, whichever color you guys want. Oh, and then if you wanted to change the gradient, because technically, again, I'm probably going down in the deep end, but this radio is going to be probably somewhere here because of the angles here. So this is probably a little bit too high. You go back to the gradient tool, which will open up this little doohickey, and then you can just do that. So that's where you use your artistic eye to kind of edit all of that stuff. Alright, so I'm actually going to stop it here, guys. I think I've given you guys enough skill sets to go and do your thing. Good luck, and I'm looking forward to seeing your clocks.